All right, so today's topic is pre and post workout nutrition, specifically looking at the time frame and kind of the window in which to resupply or refuel the body. We'll look at two case studies specifically, and then kind of a generic article from Born Fitness written by Adam Bornstein. The whole kind of premise on what this is based off of is the quote from Born Fitness's article saying, "What you eat after workout is less important than your overall calorie and macronutrient guidelines for the day." So that's, the quote that kind of sparked this whole thought process and diving more in detail. Two of the articles that he cites in these studies that we look at, one is studying young men ages 16 to 18, and their goal was to determine whether an exercise mediated an enhancement of muscle protein synthesis persisted 24 hours after resistance exercise. He was also looking to determine the impact of different exercise intensities or the contraction volume on the response at that 24-hour recovery period. They went through 90% max weight, like on a 1-rep max, to down to 30% to vary the intensities. The results came back that the resistance exercise performed until failure at 90% confers a sensitizing effect on human skeletal muscle for at least 24 hours. Needless to say, the window is not just within that 60-minute period right after workout. So 24 hours afterwards, they're concluding that you can still supply the body with the necessary fuel for recovery, for muscle protein synthesis, and not inhibiting the breakdown. The next one looks at carbohydrate does not augment exercise-induced protein versus protein alone. So, simplified, does just inputting protein in your body after a workout benefit, stay the same, or digress as opposed to protein plus carbs after a workout? The results say exercise increased muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown, but no differences between protein and protein carb in rested or exercise legs. The concurrent ingestion of 50 grams of carbohydrates with 25 grams of protein did not stimulate mixed muscle protein synthesis or inhibit muscle protein breakdown more than just the 25 grams of protein alone, either at rest or after exercise. Including that insulin is not an additive or synergistic to rates of muscle protein synthesis or muscle protein breakdown when carbohydrate is co-ingested with a dose of protein. So, how this all ties together, one looked more specifically kind of at the timeline, right after a workout, what you need immediately after or within that 24-hour period to refuel your body. And then the other one looks at, okay, do we look to just refuel with protein or a protein carb ratio? The article by Born Fitness, kind of ties these two case studies together, and some of the main points they make. This is a quote from them: insulin's ability to prevent muscle protein breakdown and maximize muscle protein synthesis isn't dependent on massive amounts of carbs. You're not completely going to deplete your glycogen stores and doesn't require a special carb blend. Especially if you're eating pre-workout. Some like to, some do not. But if you ingest substance before your workout, that is even more reason to, not more reason, but a bigger, cause to not put the protein and the carbs right into your body post-workout. Not saying it's going to hinder recovery, but especially if you have a pre-workout meal, your body's still going to be absorbing and ingesting those carbs, proteins, while you're going through your workout and afterwards as well. Referring back to the first article, just kind of reiterating that post-workout window is really open for about 24 hours rather than that 30 to 60 minutes most of us believe or typically go off of. The first 4 hours after a workout, not a bad idea to have a shake, they suggest, or get some kind of fuel back in the body. But ultimately, that 24-hour period is more about the macronutrients you're putting in your body and the overall caloric intake and making sure you're meeting those needs rather than the immediate time frame right after workout. This isn't necessarily like an anti-carb approach, and this is kind of going back to that second case study where it's fine to have that protein-carb ratio. It's fine to just have the proteins afterwards. But it's ultimately a matter of realizing that there's a lack of urgency for carbs immediately post-workout and understanding that you don't need to consume excess amounts of carbs in order to recover properly, as long as you're maintaining proper balances throughout the whole day of your various macronutrients. With that being said, a lot of information, just kind of raises the question, do we still feel that ingestion of specific protein to carb ratio is needed within 30 to 60 minute windows following a workout, specifically resistance training? And that's where I will open the floor.
What about individual amino acid consumption right after you train? Did you find anything, especially leucine, being the dominant or most needed individual amino acid?
I did not find much on that, no. Specifically within the articles that I was looking at.
Okay. So supplement versus food, does it matter?
No, that was kind of conclusive between the two of them. Supplement or just, your blend of foods, as long as those nutrients are being replaced, refueled, meeting those standards throughout the entire day.
Does it matter what the goal of the athlete is, whether it's body composition, say hypertrophy, or performance only, or a little bit of both? Does it change as you go from just performance-based to fitness-based?
Yeah, so keep in mind these two case studies were for the 18-year-old male, so it very well will change between male-female. Also, once you look into your older adults, and then also if you have an athlete looking, specifically for hypertrophy goals. But again, that time frame they said was still open. It wasn't locked into that 60 minutes right afterwards. It was just making sure you maintain those proper amounts of proteins getting inputted back into the body. That makes sense.
So the post-workout window is the same, but the amounts of the macronutrients change,
correct.
Based on the goal of the athlete,
correct,
or the adult. Okay. Any best practices amongst us that are pertinent to this discussion?
Well, me personally, I know I can't train on an empty stomach. I generally have to eat something about an hour and a half before I train, or else I'm just going to hit a wall after about 15 minutes and I'm done. So I have no gas, nothing. Post-workout, I have, in the last 2 weeks, I'm going old school, man. I've dumped the protein. I'm going chocolate milk. Just seeing how it goes. 'Cause if you look at it, I can get a jug of protein for $30 to $40, which will last 2 weeks. Which, that can add up pretty quick. Or I can buy a gallon of chocolate milk for $2.50. That'll last me a week, and it's freaking good. I have no studies in front of me to back it up, but you can do a quick Google search and find tons of studies on the benefits of chocolate milk for post-workout recovery. And it's been working for me so well, I haven't noticed a decrease in my strength, anything. Again, it's been about 2 weeks.
When do you do that in relationship to the end of your training?
When I get home. I'll get done training here. By the time I get home, maybe 10, 15 minutes. It's not like I'm running in the door trying to slam something down. Just when I get to it, about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then about an hour and a half, 2 hours after that, I'll eat something. More of a substantial meal.
So peri-workout nutrition for you is about stabilizing your blood sugar, giving you immediate energy.
Oh, absolutely. If I do a like an intense training session, I have to have some kind of carbs pretty quick, or else I hit a wall, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like crap.
No matter what the training is.
Correct.
Cardio, strength, combination.
Correct.
Okay.
I think a big point is like clarifying carbs to a lot of at least our adults that come in here. Carbs aren't a piece of bread or a pound of pasta. I mean, carbs come in like the simple forms.
Oh, yeah.
Sugars. I mean, it's not just sitting down and munching on a sandwich or a baguette. I mean,
hell, the chocolate milk I drink probably has 3 times as many carbs as protein.
Right.
I mean, it's probably only 10 grams of protein in a glass of milk, but probably close to 20 to 30 grams of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, by design.
Mm-hmm.
Probably depends. So much of this nutrition stuff is it depends.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what your goals are.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're Brian or myself, who seem to thrive on super high sugar intakes, that's only what works for us. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's a generic recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
That you just kind of experiment and find out your formula, when you need it, how much you need of it, what you do between sessions, days off.
So this was primarily for resistance training. What about our boot camp classes? I mean, would the same rule apply?
It depends.
Right.
I mean, it really does. If they're trying to just get into a burning body fat type scenario, then carbs may not be the best thing for several hours, unless they have a low blood sugar environment where they need it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're trying to optimize their body composition, it really depends.
Right. Because we've got more of those people than we do resistance training.
Yeah. It's walking that fine line between what you need to have to even just function on a basic level, and then what you need to not have to continue to burn body fat at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And from the world of bodybuilding, it's not uncommon to drop your carbs below 100 every single day to maximize your fat burning, which is an adaptation, not necessarily the healthiest, but I don't think that's what you prescribe to your generic adult. You kind of meet them in the middle because they're not really trying to get that super lean anyway, nor should they.
That's what I really like about that Bornstein quote, is just kind of take all the complexities out of it and just, for the general person, just focus on your entire day. Instead of meaning, I need 35 grams of carbs and 15 grams of protein within this amount of time before I work out, just focus on your entire day. Focus on meeting those calorie goals, your macronutrients per day. And, like you said, it depends. Figure out what works for you. Tailor it. I know for me specifically, if I cross about 200 grams of carbs for a couple days in a row, I can tell. Like, I just feel heavy. So I generally keep it lower than that. At least if I go over, like on a Saturday, I love ice cream, man. If I go to Graders, I know Sunday, like, I got to cut it back a little bit, type of a deal. So just, you got to play with it. And you got to figure out what works for you. And some of it can be uncomfortable. Like, believe me, I could eat ice cream every day, but
then you would be uncomfortable.
Then I would be uncomfortable, exactly.
But you'd be happy.
But I'd be happy. Be fat and happy.
Until you button your pants.
Yeah. So, but I really like that, though. Just focus on the entire day. Don't dive too far into the complexities, unless you're in the world of bodybuilding or physique. Then you can really get specific.
Yeah, I think we can take bits of knowledge from them.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing that you adopt on a daily basis.
Right.
They're the leanest athletes on the planet. So there's got to be something we can glean from them.
I think 24-hour window is key, just like you're talking about. We've had this conversation before, We've talked about articles. Is there that window, that short window, or is it just the general 24? I think the general 24 is your answer. I mean, you go to a big box gym and you look at all these guys like sprinting into the locker room, like full sprint, just to get a shake in their mouth.
Yeah. Nutrient timing, this is relatively new.
Yeah.
For the longest time, it was as soon as you're done, I still subscribe to that myself.
I'm guilty, absolutely.
I still believe that my body responds to that stimuli right away.
Okay, so here's a question that I've been thinking about for a while. Like, I've got my glutamine, my creatine, my protein shakes. Is it okay to just have glutamine after a workout as opposed to a protein shake? If you're watching calories, if you're leaning out or whatever, I don't exactly know how many calories glutamine is, but I know how many calories a protein shake is. Is there a better one? Depending on your goals, is glutamine okay instead of protein after workout?
So you're breaking it down to the amino acid level.
Uh-huh.
So you're not going to get any calories,
Right.
but you will get the essential, those three that glutamine is in conjunction with if you're talking about the supplement you take.
Mm-hmm.
Leucine being one, which seems to be the most preferred amino acid to get in the bloodstream as soon as you're done.
Right. Because at 5:30 a.m., most people don't eat before, but I want to have breakfast, so I don't want to have a protein shake, then breakfast. I'd rather have the glutamine, so.
Yeah, I think you're fine either way. Personal preference. Just remember you've been fasting for several hours.
Right.
And then you're going to train, which is like another withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not going to make another deposit for possibly 12 hours or so since your last one. A deposit being food with calories.
Right.
So you've been withdrawing, so to speak, for half a day, including sleep.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I think you got to get calories in the system.
Right.
Regardless of whether your goals are body composition improvements or not.
Right. I'll try it a different way, see what happens.
I think there's certainly some weight with importance with nutrient timing, but I think the whole idea behind the 24-hour window is that it's the issue with these people that think it's that 30 to 60-minute window is they view that period of time as high importance, and then they're like, okay, I've got that in. Now the rest of the day I can just do whatever the hell I want.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's why it needs to be viewed as a 24-hour, equal importance throughout that 24 hours rather than just focusing on maybe the 1 to 2 hour period after your workout.
So basically there is no window. It's just forever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it never really closes. Like the window you usually think of open and close, and now it's like it's open.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
Until you're done training, until you die.
Right.
Which is, I mean, that's an extreme way to look at it, but yeah, I do that myself. I got my protein, I got my good stuff in. Maybe I just won't eat for 5 more hours.
Yeah.
Or just eat something crappy.
Right.
Like 6 donuts.
Whole pizza.
2 pounds of minutes.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how unique this is per person.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, very much so.
And I have such a high tolerance for carbs. You said 200 carbs put you over the edge?
Yeah, if I cross that,
I've had about 300 already.
Yeah.
And I'm still starving.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how your unique physiology allows you to quote unquote get away with things.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to any diet. It's individualized in terms of what works for who. Like, I've noticed I've been able to put on muscle mass the best ever since I started complementing like my post-workout protein with a carb. And like I'll take a handful of gummy bears with my protein, and I've noticed a difference in terms of now throughout the day. Obviously, I'm focusing on it as well, but for whatever reason, I can't back it up with any science. But ever since I started that, I've been able to finally put on a little bit of weight. That's just me. That's not going to work necessarily for any of you guys. But who knows?
I think there's some science behind it. Maybe not a research article on gummy bears.
But I think the quick carb content is what I'm
the higher glycemic carbs, higher insulin response, window is open, so to speak, and cellular consumption and sensitivity is at its highest. But other people, they would go through a sugar crash right after that.
Right. So what if someone is asking would be a good recommendation? You don't normally hear recommendation of gummy bears.
I think you have to just trial and error. And it's not just I work out and I want to look like this. What's your age? What's your sex? What's your hormonal status? How much muscle do you carry? Do you have a high metabolic rate already? Why do you want to have those things happen?
Right.
And then you've got the whole other side of it, which is performance-based.
Mhm.
And someone who doesn't really care about their body fat, like a high school or college athlete, I'm sure they do, but secondary to why they went to college or high school or to play their sport is, do they have enough fuel
Mhm.
to get through their practices or their two-a-days or the lifting sessions, irrespective of their body composition. And then it becomes much more substrate driven versus I want to look good naked.
Yeah, that's a totally different than what we've been talking about. I mean, a lot of people at this point have heard of like Michael Phelps' diet when he's training. I mean, 15,000 calories a day. But keeping in mind that dude that's what you just hit on. It's substrate driven at that point. And he's not worried about how he looks. He has to do that to replenish what is being burnt. Exactly. That is for performance.
Mm-hmm. He makes way too many withdrawals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, go swim for 10 minutes and not try that for like 8 hours. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
So to wrap this up, kind of quickly summarize your pre and post workout, what you feel works for you. And then I'm sure amongst the five of us, someone else can say, well, that's about what I'm like, or that's what I want to try.
Mine's heavily dependent upon like what type of workout I do. If I do lifting, I know I can have a little bit more to eat beforehand, and I don't like to have much afterwards because I know I'm burning and my body's going to continue burning, but like immediately after my workout, I don't like to eat a whole lot.
You have no appetite?
No. 3 hours later, then like I'll be a little hungry, and that's when I usually refuel, 2 to 3 hours afterwards. If I just got done with a training session for soccer, same thing. Like, I'm not hungry after I train.
Are you physiologically hungry, or you just don't have an appetite?
I just don't have an appetite.
But your stomach could be growling.
It could be. I mean, at that point, I usually listen to my stomach. But but typically, I just got done sweating buckets. I don't like to grab anything besides a water or a Gatorade. But then again, then I just go to town afterwards. I mean, I could eat a full meal, and still be hungry usually afterwards. At this point, I'm trying to figure out, what's best for me now that I'm done playing and performing at those high levels. And now that I'm just training, what's my new regimen on pre and post workout? And I'm still messing with different things. So.
Yeah, I feel the same way about post workout. I don't usually take anything except maybe glutamine. And the only time I really pay attention to what I eat beforehand, because I work out so early and I don't eat anything, is when we do the 4:30 class. Because it's so difficult. I have to really pay attention to what I eat, when I eat it, and what I'm drinking and when. So if it's going to be really difficult, I have to time that stuff out to the 10-minute mark. But glutamine works, and then a couple hours afterwards.
For me, I usually train in the morning, so I'll get up, I'll eat my breakfast, which it's usually lighter for breakfast. I'll maybe have some eggs and toast, something like that. And then about an hour and a half after that, I'll go train. After that, after I'm done training, 10 to 15 minutes, like I said. Right now I'm doing chocolate milk, see how that goes. If I notice a difference of a protein, like a protein shake or not. And then from there, it's just a normal day. Lunch after that, snack in between lunch and dinner. Yeah. Again, I'm more focused on my 24 hours at this point. I'm trying it different, because I was like you guys, crushing a shake ASAP as fast as I could. So right now I'm kind of experimenting, seeing if I notice a difference or not in anything.
With the chocolate milk.
With the chocolate milk, and not being so I have to get something in. I'm measuring everything. I'm not tracking anything right now. I'd fallen into that trap of tracking things, and it was just overwhelming. So I'm just I'm done doing it. Doing the chocolate milk 10 to 15 minutes after, just going based on feel. So
I'll generally train late morning, early afternoon. Let's just use today as an example. I try to eat hour and a half, 2 hours before. So this morning I had 4 Eggo waffles loaded with peanut butter and syrup and a dollop of Cool Whip on top, along with a glass of milk, a glass of water. So that's about an hour and a half, 2 hours before. I just feel like that's, as of recently, I feel like I have more energy. I'm able to sustain throughout my workout considerably longer at a higher energy. Post-workout, I mean, yeah, I'm guilty of getting a shake in me right away. But then it's just like you. It's normal throughout the day. I try to eat every couple of hours, whether that's a snack, even if I just come in here and get a handful of cashews or something of that sort. But it's a 24-hour thing. I'm making sure it's around the clock rather than just the workout itself. And again, I'm probably a lot different than a lot of people that come in here. I mean, I don't keep track of anything. I just shovel crap into my mouth, to be honest with you. So yeah,
It's a ginger thing.
I guess so. And I can get away with it now. I know it's gonna end up biting me in the ass one of these days, but as of right now, it works for me. And whatever works for you, why not?
I would concur with most of what you said, except I don't do any supplements. I'm a meat eater, probably 2 pounds a day. 6 eggs every morning. Training days, non-training days, doesn't matter. Probably around 400 grams of carbs, just guessing. 300 of which are just processed. Only because I'm lifting 4 days a week. If I wasn't, I would not do that. But I just know, like we've all kind of said, I know how my body responds to carbs, and that's what it wants. It wants a lot of processed carbs.
Like what?
Like
donuts?
Man, I'm gonna have to take a picture of my grocery cart one day. Yeah, it's not uncommon. I think today I've had 4 Swiss cake rolls, half a bag of licorice.
Really?
4 Cliff Bars,
Jesus.
6 eggs, a pound of chicken. That's what I've had today. And I'll probably repeat that because I won't eat until I leave. I don't eat when I'm here. So like from 8 to like 9 or so, I'll just eat until I can't eat anymore. Works for me. Not saying works for me. I'll probably have another pound or 6 eggs, bunch of processed carbs, knowing I got to train tomorrow morning.
I've had 2 bars, 1 egg, and 1 chicken breast.
So the bottom line is, don't listen to us. Do what works for you. Just use this as a guideline. Any other closing thoughts?
On that note.
You're doing right.
All right. Thanks for listening.